Welcome to Webinars for Excellence by Jeev and Yogi, done by Step8Up. We have this webinar every Tuesday at lunchtime, UK time, London time, and we are waiting on some members who are expected to join. This is the first launch. One of the dates that this webinar is going to be proud about is the 2nd of October, which is the birthday of Mahatma Gandhi, and today is 3rd of October, so we are actually quite lucky to give it a kickstart right now. Hello, welcome, namaste, hi there. Step8Up is overall a consulting company with a difference. However, we have a larger mission in life. We have a mission for a borderless, better world. The concept of this webinar has three aspects. First of all, this webinar is a webinar for excellence. The overarching theme is excellence. We will be choosing, and this is the second aspect, we will be choosing the topics with excellence in our mind and with interaction with our audience. And the last but not the least is that this is a webinar with solutions and not sales. Having said that, I introduce the other master in this call, Yogi. Welcome, Yogi. Hi.
Hi, namaste as well to you, Jill. And this is absolutely exciting for me because in fact, this kind of webinar I haven't been to, which is very open and very well structured by you. Thank you so much, Jill.
I'm excited that you are excited. So awesome. Now moving on, today we are touching a very important topic that Yogi is going to tell and talk about, and the key medium in which we are going to talk is the medium of storytelling. Yogi, I hand it over to you. Let's do.
Right. So the medium that we have chosen, which is to do with the storytelling, it is absolutely important that you see, at the end of the day, everybody has a story to tell, one way or other. Whether there is something happened, there's something that's sad, something very exciting, something. But when it comes to storytelling, people automatically just tell you, and that natural way of communicating the medium, to me, it's very powerful. See, we can teach people whatever the topic, whatever the message, whatever the discussion that we need to do. But when we start using the stories, and these stories, remember, these are not made up stories. These are the stories actually has happened, which has an extra level of power. And when you experience that power, when you experience that power of the story, it actually touches you, and it remains with you much more than just being not able to tell the story. So this is why it's very important that we are.
It gets an imprint in our brain as well as in our minds and hearts, because it is something that we live through it, isn't it? It's like when we hear the story in a play or a theater or a movie, instead of remembering something more theoretically, this actually touches through our feelings, emotions, and expressions, isn't it?
Absolutely.
And you had a story today, isn't it? You have a story for us.
I have, and that's what I was trying to explain. That story that I want to kick off. It's the story of choices, yes, but it's a story that I want to use just to create the debate, create that dialogue, create that kind of people telling each other what do they feel about that story. Again, it's the same thing that, see, when you go and tell a friend what's happened to you, that either being the friend or either being the person who's listening to you, give their kind of opinion about reliving that kind of experience, and hence that kind of becomes a news, that becomes a information, which is the powerful. So let me start off this story. By the way, this story that I'm going to share with everybody today, who's gonna be joining, it's specifically not mine. So I admit it's not mine at all. It's actually from a lecturer in University of America. His name is Michael Devin. And I came across this story, which is he was actually using that for his TEDx talk from America. I'm absolutely going to share that link with you at the end of the seminar for people to go and listen to this person. Absolutely amazed. He touched me with this story. Again, like I said, his name is Michael Gavin. So let me start with the story. And before he started the story, he was talking about why culture diversity matters. Now, for me, it's the choices that people make, whether to accept that diversity or whether to ignore it or whether not to use it in any form of way. So I'm using that kind of thing as a matter of choice. But let's go by with what Michael had said. So Michael had posed this question: why culture diversity matters? Well, before he started telling the story, so he said, look, we need to have this diverse set of knowledge in order for us to able to cope with the wicked problems that we are faced or challenged of today. And also, we need to use for our uncertainty of tomorrow. So this knowledge that he's talking about, that this knowledge, what he's trying to say is this knowledge that we already know of dealing with the tomorrow, making those choices. You can only make choices by informed knowledge. And this knowledge, he's saying, Michael was saying, that day by day is actually slipping away from us. And it's disappearing. And his story begins this way. There's an island of Molekula in South Pacific nation of Vanuatu. Now, Vanuatu has the greatest level of cultural diversity of per capita of anywhere in the planet. Recently, a boat left a bay carrying an old sick man for dead. The sea were rough and it was dark. The health clinic was far up into the other island. And unfortunately, the boat had left a little too late, and the old man was a little too sick. So, few hours later, you could hear a sound of a motor, a boat returning back to the bay. And soon, the crying and the moaning, wailing steps spreads across the sand and into the village. You see, David had died. Now, David, you see, those who knew David and those who have loved David, they actually mourned, cried. But of course, you did not know David. And 150,000 people die on this planet every day. So why should we mourn about David, about this man? Well, David was one of the three remaining speakers of the indigenous language, and two remaining speakers on that island are also old and frail men. So when they pass away, so too of the language of that island. For the children and the grandchildren of these men don't speak the language. Now the amazing thing about this, and the amazing thing about this story, is it's not that it's unique, but we collectively today humans speak 7,000 languages according to Michael. 7,000 languages, different languages on this planet have been spoken. So in the lifetime of, say for example, Michael's children or my children, the age that Michael's children have 6 to 9 years old, as many as half of these languages will disappear in the children's lifetime. Just like David, about to. So we need to answer these three questions, and this is the three questions that we can start a discussion on. Why should we be worried about loss of this cultural diversity? And the second is, why is it happening? And the third thing is, what shall we do about this? Thank you for listening to this story.
This is perfect. In fact, it was a powerful reminder of what are the options that we have in order to keep the culture going. And as a younger generation, it's amazing. Thank you to you. I believe we have one more participant who joined just now.
Yes, this is Sangeeta.
Hello, Sangeeta. How are you?
Hi there, Jeev. How are you doing?
Going good. Welcome. Welcome.
Thank you.
So we did not have a formal introduction in the beginning of the call, so welcome right now. And I believe you got a gist of Yogi's story. What do you
I
say?
did, yes.
What do you say? What are your remarks?
It's very powerful. For somebody of my age, it's very meaningful. But my question is, do the youngsters really care? Does it matter to them?
And what can make it matter to them, according to you?
They need to understand. I think the younger generation these days tend to be very self-centered.
Mm-hmm.
It's all about them.
Okay.
I don't think they realize the impact losing one's identity has on them, because the culture is part of your identity.
Exactly. And in fact, you use the keyword self-centered, and the answer lies in the opposite of it. When we become a bit other people centered or outer, when we are trying to help someone else other than us,
mm-hmm.
the entire perception changes and the entire reasoning changes, isn't it?
That's right, yes.
Yeah. What do you say, Yogi?
Yes, I totally agree with you. I think when By the way, welcome, Sangeeta,
Thank
to
you.
this webinar. Um, and the purpose of, again, I think your question of do they really care, uh, and the question really, instead of asking that question of do they really care, it seems like they are not have to care. Reason I'm saying that they're not have to care is because they cannot relate this kind of the importance of it. As Michael put the three questions, why should we care about in first place? The cultural diversity, or forget about diversity, for even preserving that. The second thing is, well, why is it happening? Which is what you're saying, Sangeeta, that do they really care? Because maybe because of the second generation saying, well, first of all, I'm sorry, but I can't relate. That might be the reason, that because they're not relating to it themselves with today's world, that they are actually don't care. And the third thing we need to say is, well, what Jim just said, which is, what do we need to do for them to care? Now, just maybe I can answer the last question first by saying, what when I heard the TEDx talk of Michael, what right at the end of that talk, when I used that story, what he did say was that community where David has died, what they decided to do at the end is they went back to the school of that island and asked the teachers to say, look, I know you are teaching our children the word knowledge, and you are using up 6 hours of starting the school and finishing up the school. But we as elders, we would like 1 hour back from the education. So they asked the school, can you give that 1 hour back to us? And what they did was, those same children and same people, they will now introduce some older generation, the elder generation, the person who knew this knowledge. Then they started teaching the indigenous. Michael believes the language, but the question is a broader question, which is they started teaching within that hour. So I think something even little like that, of taking the hour back from the education, is also important. I do know that in various communities here in UK, that's what's happening. But that's only happening within a household, within. But I think it needs to push through some kind of institution, in some kind of a way in which they themselves can gain.
But do you think that the lack of interest is due to parents, relatives not passing it down to their children? Do you think that modern day, because there's less time, people are busy, parents are busy, they're trying to hold down a job, run a household, especially for women, mothers, they don't have the time to pass on cultural information down to their...
If I can chip in for that, that is quite true to quite a lot of extent. At the same time, what I would like to put is, it's the lack of inspired action, whether it is from the parent side, whether it is from the society side, whether it is from the teacher side, or even individuals struggling with day-to-day activities, because everybody has their priority. But there is a reason why this lack of inspired action is missing, and that very nicely ties to the topic where we are trying to take it, is where is this excellence, where is this inspiration? And that inspiration brings us back, am I doing something different or separate from just myself. Because when we said things have become self-centered, when we become other people centered, that's where Yogi mentioned that they started teaching 1 hour back about the history of the language and something other than what was being taught in those schools. And there are many such examples. If I am trying to generalize, where not just it's a concept of language, in certain cases it's a concept of art forms, in some cases it's something else. In fact, there are places where even medicinal cultures have been forgotten, just because people got busy living their life than actually having a life and appreciating the life, which is where the main topic of our webinar goes, is how do we become better in our lives, how do we become better and better and better every day. And this actually helps me to decide the next topic where you can actually chip in. What is the power of being other people centered? In fact, in most of our workshops we talk about this. Why is other people centered uh, going to give us a pulling power or a vision that helps us not lift not just ourselves but even the rest of the society, things that are going to be forgotten. And this is our choice, whether we are self-centered or other-centered, other people-centered, if I can summarize. In fact, we have decided to keep the webinar recordings available for free so that people can access it in future. And we have started with a 30-minute format, which makes the discussion quite short, because I would love to hear more from all of us. But sincerely, the first thing and the last thing is an expression of gratitude from me and Yogi, because this is the beginning of a new series, and especially speaking of Mahatma Gandhi's birthday yesterday, this is a very good beginning, and we are reaching the end of the webinar right now. Next week, we should talk about other people centered, but I would love to hear a bit more on if you have any more topics in your mind. Please tell me.
Is that are you asking Sangeeta or?
And you as well. One of my suggestion is, what is the power of being other people centered? How can we use it to become better and better? But I'm open to listen to other ideas.
Yeah, I have a topic which we can use it if it's not next week, week after, or whenever. It's called resistance to change, and that would tie up with what Sangeeta was saying. That yes,
yes.
people have think about going about doing their work. They are actually very busy because they have to go out and bring some money to put food on the table for the children, and it's all very well. It sounds good, but they need to find certain time. And but if like you're saying, if there is a notion of saying no, I am going to change, I am going to find that, and if it's important, then I will make that happen. So I think that will tie up with we have a resistance to change.
Yeah.
We follow the no, so but we need to, how and why we are not doing it. Again, a lot of stories would be good. Just before we finish, I just wanted to ask Sangeeta whether, thank you for your contribution, which is absolutely great what you touched upon. But
You're very welcome.
was there any a story that you had very quickly, briefly, you can tell us, that your experience of uh, not able, that younger generation do not care? Do you have some sort of story?
Yeah, I see it. I don't have children myself, but I see it in my nieces and nephews, and neighbors' kids. I just um, I find them very self-centered. And I don't know whether it's a parental thing, whether it's where they're being brought up. I'm talking about my culture specific, and me being brought up in the UK as well. I found that my parents did not have time to teach me some of the cultural things that I know now that I didn't know while I was growing up. And I've learned that through reading or watching programs or speaking to people. But I know when growing up, um, my parents were too busy working, trying to bring up 4 kids especially my mother, um, in a country that she didn't know much about. She didn't know the language, and I think just touching upon that, she did not want to know the culture of the UK. She was trying desperately to hold on to our own culture.
Right.
So that's one
Yeah.
aspect of it.
Mm-hmm.
But I also think, when you mention other topics, I think many people struggle with time.
Yeah.
You hear people complaining of not having enough time, and yet we all have 24 hours in the day. So I would like it if you can maybe talk about, or have a webinar for a future date where we can discuss how people manage time, how do they prioritize their time, what they want to achieve in life.
Perfect. That's definitely very, very powerful and useful, because everybody struggles with the concept of having enough time. And if you look at it, everybody has the same amount of time and different levels of success. Thank you. We will definitely do that. And we do have some previous recordings where we did some time management for entrepreneurs, but we would love to have a live webinar with inputs. Definitely. So those are
Thank you.
I'm listing down all the topics, and we will be doing each one of them.
Thank you.
Thank you. So Yogi, is there anything from your side?
No, that's absolutely fantastic. I'd just like to thank Sangeeta to make it in time. And thank you so much for your contribution, because this is what we want to do. We want to have the live debate just for half an hour, just for people to bring their own saying and stories from which we can actually go forward. And we really appreciate Sangeeta for making that time. And you've done it. You see, everybody's so busy, but you actually within your I'm pretty sure, I'm not sure exactly what you do, but I'm pretty sure you must have had a very busy schedule for just taking that little half an hour just to be heard is absolutely great. And thank you so much.
Oh, I appreciate you doing this. Thank you.
Thank you.
Namaste.